Gary Krist. In 1874, four kidnappers in Philadelphia abducted young Charley Ross, believing his wealthy family would quickly hand over ransom money. Instead, the case became one of the first kidnapping stories to spread across the entire United States through newspapers. Public panic grew fast, and police pressure became intense. The kidnappers lost control almost immediately as every move drew attention. What they expected to be a simple ransom crime became a historic manhunt that changed how Americans viewed child abduction. Frank Sinatra Jr. In 1963, kidnappers abducted from a hotel near, expecting a massive ransom from his father. On paper, the target seemed perfect. But they were inexperienced and careless. They made repeated ransom calls, left trails behind, and panicked under pressure. The FBI tracked them down quickly. Sinatra Jr. was rescued safely, and the kidnappers were arrested. They learned that targeting a celebrity family brings overwhelming attention. Patty Hearst. In 1974, the kidnapped heiress. They wanted political influence and public power. Instead, they triggered one of the biggest media storms of the decade. Every detail became national news. Police pressure increased daily. The situation became even stranger when Hearst later appeared participating in crimes with the group. Whether through force, fear, or manipulation, the kidnapping spiraled into chaos. The abductors wanted control, but the case consumed them. John Paul Getty III. In 1973, kidnappers and abducted, assuming his billionaire grandfather would pay immediately. But refused at first, believing it might be staged. Suddenly, the kidnappers faced a nightmare. They had a high-value hostage but no payment. Desperate, they escalated their brutality to force action. Public outrage exploded. Eventually, money was paid, but the criminals learned that wealth does not always mean quick compliance. Shawn Hornbeck. In 2002, kidnapped 11-year-old in. Devlin successfully hid him for years. It looked like he had escaped justice. But his downfall came from greed. He kidnapped another boy, and that second abduction triggered massive police action. Investigators searched aggressively and found both boys. One extra crime destroyed years of secrecy. Kamiyah Mobley. In 1998, entered a hospital in disguised as medical staff and kidnapped newborn. She raised the child as her own for nearly 2 decades. For years, it seemed she had gotten away with everything. But technology changed the outcome. DNA testing eventually exposed the truth in 2017. The crime survived for years, but science finally caught up. Abby Hernandez. In 2013, abducted teenager in. He carefully planned the crime and avoided immediate detection. But after holding her for 9 months, he released her. That decision became his biggest mistake. Once free, Hernandez provided investigators with crucial details about her captivity. Small memories became powerful evidence. The kidnapper believed fear would protect him, but the survivor's memory became the reason he was caught. Colleen Stan. In 1977, kidnapped in. He controlled her for years using torture and psychological manipulation. He convinced her that a secret organization would kill her family if she escaped. Fear kept her trapped. But Hooker ignored one weakness, his own wife. Eventually, she went to police and exposed everything. His carefully built system collapsed from inside his own home. Elizabeth Smart. In 2002, was kidnapped from her home in Bai. He believed disguises and movement would keep her hidden. But her disappearance received national attention immediately. Her face appeared everywhere, television, newspapers, posters. 9 months later, witnesses recognized her in public and alerted authorities. The kidnapper chose a target whose disappearance became impossible to hide. Chloe Ayling. In 2017, model was kidnapped in by men planning to sell her online. Their plan collapsed quickly because Ayling was already highly visible online and in media. Her disappearance triggered international attention almost immediately. Investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies and gathered evidence. The kidnappers underestimated how difficult it is to hide someone whose face is already known worldwide. Stephen Stayner. In 1972, 7-year-old was kidnapped and held for years. His captor tried to erase his identity and reshape his life entirely. For a long time, it worked. But years later, when another child was abducted, Stayner saw himself in the victim. He made a brave decision to escape and rescue the younger boy. That single act destroyed the kidnapper's control. The victim became the reason the criminal was exposed. Jaycee Dugard, in 1991, was abducted by. She remained captive for 18 years. Garrido relied on isolation and manipulation to maintain control. But over time, he grew careless. Strange behavior around university staff raised concerns. Authorities looked closer, and the truth surfaced. 18 years of secrecy ended because the kidnapper became too comfortable. Natascha Kampusch, in 1998, was kidnapped in and held for 8 years. Her captor believed total control guaranteed permanent silence. But captivity does not erase human will. One day, during a brief moment of distraction, she escaped. She ran to safety and revealed everything. Years of planning collapsed because one moment of control slipped away. Amanda Berry, in 2003, was abducted by In. Castro believed isolation made him untouchable. For years, he held multiple victims captive. But one unlocked door changed everything. Berry seized the chance, reached neighbors, and called for help. The entire operation collapsed in minutes. Years of secrecy ended because of one small mistake. Gina DeJesus was another victim held by Ariel Castro. She spent years trapped inside the same house. Castro believed control and fear would prevent escape forever. But once Amanda Berry broke free, everything unraveled. DeJesus was rescued, and Castro's crimes were exposed to the world. Sometimes one survivor's courage saves everyone. Michelle Knight was Ariel Castro's first victim. She endured the longest period of abuse and isolation. Her survival became central to understanding the full scale of Castro's crimes. Castro thought long-term control meant permanent silence. Instead, every survivor's testimony strengthened the case against him. The very people he tried to silence became the voices that ended him. Mariam Mokhtar. Mariam Mokhtar became the center of a kidnapping case that triggered intense public concern. Her disappearance created immediate fear in the community. Media coverage spread rapidly, and law enforcement faced heavy pressure to act fast. The kidnappers lost one of their biggest advantages, time. Once the public became fully engaged, staying hidden became much harder. The case showed how community attention can quickly turn against criminals. Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr. In 1932, the infant son of aviator was kidnapped from the family home. The crime shocked the entire world. Kidnapping the child of a global icon guaranteed unmatched media attention. Every newspaper followed the case. Every clue mattered. Law enforcement pursued the suspect relentlessly. The kidnapping became one of the most famous criminal cases in history. The target brought more heat than any kidnapper could realistically manage. Natalee Holloway, in 2005, disappeared during a trip to. Though officially a disappearance case, the suspects faced intense international scrutiny. Media attention became relentless. Public pressure remained for years. Every inconsistency drew suspicion. Whether guilty or not, anyone connected to the case found it nearly impossible to escape scrutiny. The visibility of the victim changed everything. Sabine Dardenne, in 1996, was kidnapped by serial offender. Her survival helped expose one of Europe's most disturbing criminal cases. Dutrix believed fear and secrecy protected him. But surviving victims became living evidence. Their testimony shattered his ability to deny what happened. The victims he tried to silence ultimately destroyed him.